this is try to bring awareness and try to stop that from happening. There's things you can do to unfortunately this is happening to too many people, but we're trying to put resources out there. If that person took anything from you and you've tried to recover it, there are ways that you can get that back. There's complaints that you can file, and Healing has a link tree that you can go to on her page that gives you resources to be able to do that. You can always reach out to us as well and get those resources.
The advocates telling them that they only have to work through her. I think she also said, Red, that they can't post anything either. So it's like insanity.
Yeah, she said they can't reach out to any. She said not to reach out to any other advocacy groups. It kind of goes back to what I put in that video that I posted last week was, support doesn't tell you not to reach out to other support. Support is community. Support is empathy. Support is, you have to be able to reach out. It just blows my mind that somebody would say that. That's not true support. And an ADA advocate actually is supposed to be support.
Alice has also been doing that, where they take funds and then they go and they do like a ChatGPT or something that's a free resource, and then their supposed client, and they're not actually doing what they need to do, And I know today, Brandscam got really mad at me because I did post some stuff, some actual lawsuits, and I did post some other stuff for you guys, a PDF for you guys to use, for you guys to do the unauthorized practice of law, because I am hearing she's writing motions. She's writing Supreme Court letters. She's writing Supreme Court stuff, federal stuff, like all of that stuff. You cannot do any of that. And then she goes on her live and she says, oh yeah, I just text her what to tell so-and-so in their court case. And everything is going the way it needs to go now. That is telling them legal advice. You are just supposed to be there for mutual support while they're going through their mental health issues or their anxiety or their seizures. Like we talked to somebody that was having seizures, that needed an ADA advocate, has extreme anxiety. And then that's the other thing too, is she's putting down people that take, like medical marijuana or CBD, and she's putting people on blast. She's an ADA advocate. That is violating your rights. I used to work in the medical field and I have a pre-nursing degree and I could never do that. You can't do that. By law, I can't even do that in my field that I'm actually in education. You can't put people on blast for any kind of medical issues that they have.
As a HIPAA violation, yes.
Honestly, like if you see Joe Schmo down the road and he has X, Y, and Z, you still can't say anything. You can't say anything because that's a HIPAA violation. And you putting Kathleen Arthur on blast, putting a couple other people. I don't want to name too many names, but for you to be putting people like that on blast, that shows how unprofessional and
correct. For that you have what you need in the courtroom as far as a disability. Do you need hearing devices? As I've said before, and I'll show you, I am hearing impaired. I wear hearing aids. I use these to hear. When I was going through my court case, I didn't have hearing devices. I couldn't afford them. They were very expensive. So when I would go into the courtroom, I couldn't hear the judge. So communication was a problem with me. And because communication was a problem for me, I would get really high anxiety because I couldn't hear properly. When you can't hear properly, communication's a problem. So my anxiety would go through the roof. And then I had an advocate that said, hey, hearing's a problem. I didn't know that the court offered hearing devices so I could hear. And once I got those, it changed my life in the courtroom. But they offered me hearing devices in the courtroom, and that changed everything right there. But my advocate wasn't even in the courtroom. They just went to the court and said, like, she needs hearing devices. Well, had I known a year ahead of time that they provided hearing devices, it would have changed a lot of things for me because I could actually hear, I could communicate better. But that's what an ADA advocate does. They make sure I had my hearing devices. They help you if if the court doesn't, which nowadays most courts do because they have to build them in the court houses, elevators, if you have a wheelchair or if you have crutches, if you have a language barrier.
Yeah, they also give you DV advocates if you're going through domestic violence, so they have somebody that sits by you. I mean, I was going through a severe situation in my case where I was being accused of falsely accused left and right. So if I was seen in the hallway, I could be accused and arrested at any time because of all of the false accusations and all the stuff that was thrown at me. So I literally went to the judge, I went to the bailiffs, and I went to other people. And I started putting myself in other courtrooms just so I was protected, so I wasn't out in the open. So that way I wasn't being falsely accused, because that's what my ex was doing, is he was trying to falsely accuse me of everything, and trying to get me arrested. He was trying to do everything that he could. If you talk to the courts and you let them know, like you're fearful for your life or there's something that's going on, just like voice your opinion a little bit and they'll work with you, like even if you walk into your car, they will walk into your car.
Right. And here's the other thing. If you have a severe disability, like let's say you have seizures that are caused by high anxiety, which I can vouch for that. When my dad died, I had stress related seizures. I was having like up to 20 grand mal seizures a day. And when that happens and you need an ADA advocate for something like that, when it comes to getting and I'm going to kind of backtrack a little bit. if you need an ADA advocate, you're not going to go online and find one. You're going to get one through the court. It's called any state that you have. I'm in Michigan, so it would be MIDNY or DNR. DN. Dang it, now I'm going to forget it. I think it's DN.
All they have to look up is ADA advocate.
Yeah, just look up ADA advocate. It's going to go through your court system. They're going to provide it. It's going to go through your state or your county more than likely. They're going to provide that advocate to you. More than likely, it's going to go through their county attorney, and they're going to provide it to you. And they're going to ask you for certain things. One, they're going to ask you for a medical record. You're going to get a letter from your doctor along with showing what your disability is and proving that. It's not just going to be a letter from somebody who claims to be an advocate handed into the court. Two, they're not going to be in the courtroom. They don't speak to the judge. They don't speak to anybody. Again, they're just an advocate. But if it's something serious like seizures or stuff, you need to have it done from home. You're going to have to prove that. Yeah. And again, it's going to go through your court. It's not going to go through somebody online. So please, please, please do your due diligence. Do not pay somebody that you've never met. Do not pay somebody that you've met through this resource. And I know you might be sitting there going, oh, you're talking to some girl through the internet, through TikTok. Healing and I have actually met. We have had physical contact with each other. We've hugged. We met at a wine bar. No, but I've never sent her money. She's never sent me money. We've never bribed each other. But what I'm saying is, you don't just go out because somebody's saying the right things and using all these awesome buzzwords. Don't just give your money freely, because if you have that much money to give to somebody you met on the internet, you have that much money to retain an actual attorney that is going to do the right things for you in your case. So please, please be aware and do your due diligence in doing your research. We learned in second grade the 5 W's: who, what, where, when, why.
Yeah. So I did pull up something here that is in California. This whole PowerPoint came up, and it says right here, request case related. California courts have a system to request accommodation for court cases, right? So it says courts must have at least one ADA coordinator to handle accommodation request. So this is a California court. So you can get any request that you need here. This popped up here and it has everything here. So that means that right there means to me that they has to have an ADA coordinator on site at every courthouse is what I think that means to me right there.
Right.
Because it says courts must have at least one ADA coordinator to handle accommodation requests. So that means that you guys will not be left out in the cold, so don't think that you need to go through some of these other ADA advocates, and you have a better bet of actually individuals. There is no regulations. We have done this since we've been doing the story, guys. And I have not been doing the story, just a correction. I have not been doing the story for over a year. I only do stories for about 6 months, and it's about 6 months, okay? And the only one that's making me hold on is this chick right here. But guys, you got to understand, if we can save some of you guys from spending all this money, that's what is in our agenda, and that's what we're trying to do. And also, if like Donnie said, if you're having finger food withdrawals, I'm really sorry.
I want to know what a watermelon lollipop is. I want one. What was it? A watermelon? What was that? A watermelon?
We're really sorry. We can't help you with a watermelon lollipop, and we can't help you with finger foods. So
I love finger food.
I know Johnny he's like, I'm trying not to laugh right now.
I love Johnny. He's the greatest.
I know, you put all those comments in there.
I love popping on his stuff because it's always something different. Every time I pop out, it's like, hey, Johnny. And then it's like, oh, it's something completely different today we're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah,
yeah,
it's always interesting getting on and finding, the different places people are, because and not just to talk about FranScam, there's a lot of people out there that are making the right moves and are changing things in their states and trying to change things with legislation in the family rights movement. But you have to understand, with all the groups that are doing things and are trying to change things, not only within the states, but, we have Tim Scott's bill S204 that's, been introduced. There are things going on, but within that, no matter what you do, there is an underbelly to the whole thing. And unfortunately, the underbelly is dark, and you have your people out there that are willing to do whatever to scam people, and it's sad. It's just sad. And unfortunately, I was one of those people back then. It's embarrassing to say I was one of those people that heard the right words and was like, I needed help and I didn't know which way to turn, and I didn't have the money for an attorney back then, and I was scrambling, and that person came out of the woodwork and was saying all the right things, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the right person to follow. And you just gotta, it didn't take very long for me to, because I'm an open-minded person, it didn't take long for me to go, something just feels off. And when people started kind of coming out going, sending me messages going, I really hope you're not following this. I really hope you see this. And at first I was like, oh, you're just a naysayer. Oh, you're just, you're just trying to. And then it only took me a minute to go, wait a minute. I need to research this. Wait a minute. I need to really think about this. And once I started really going, okay, that's a red flag. Okay, that's a red flag. And, and fortunately for me at the time, my husband was a licensed PI. Fortunately, my husband's retired military, and he was like, honey, I typically don't get involved. I typically let you do your own thing, but I want you to really think about this and research it. Okay. And I did. And I was like, okay, I need to step back. And once I stepped back, that's when all of her minions came at me and I was a bad person. She started putting lies out about me. And she said herself in her own live that she contacted my family. She did. She didn't talk to my mom and dad because unfortunately they're gone, but she called my court.
Yeah.
She called my ex. She called my oldest daughter.
Yeah,
She
which
called,
shouldn't happen. You have no right to do that.
she called everybody under the sun. And this was a person that was supposed to be helping me.
Yeah.
So the minute you start asking logical questions and start going, wait a minute here, she completely did 360, completely turned against me and started calling everybody on the other side, which again, you already have PTSD from what you have going on. You already have all this anxiety, all these fears, all this stuff going on. And now you have somebody that you've given all this information to turning around and giving it to the other side.
Yeah.
So now you've got another mess to clean up. So just be careful who you're giving your information to.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fully, like I never fully trusted her, but at the same time, I trusted enough to give certain information to that I should have never given that information to, you know?
Yeah, and some of the videos we found, remember, some of the videos were telling us and warning us of that and telling us don't give your information out to these people and like be careful who you do give the information out. I mean, we have a pretty good I know me, Johnny and I and a couple other people and you know, we share stuff, but we've been doing this for a while. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of you have to make sure you know who is in, you know, like who you know that you can trust. Yeah.
We got kind of a group of people that are, I don't know how to say it. We have a good group of people.
Yeah.
We have a pretty trustworthy group of people.
Yeah, we do. We have a pretty awesome group. I mean, and I don't know if you want to bring it, but Johnny said when people are going through chaos, we are more likely to make bad choices. Yeah, we are. You know, because
That's true.
You're in a fight or flight mode, and you're trying to hold on to whatever you can. You're losing everything, and you're in the middle of chaos, literally, and you're trying to grasp onto whatever you can. You're losing your child at the same time. But see, the thing is, that's one of the reasons why I do what I do. And I know Red does what she does. And I know Johnny does what he does, you know, and Chris Felder does what he does. Scott does the same thing, you know, because we're just educating people on the process that, you know, it's the courts work at snail pace. You can't make it go any faster, you know, even though we feel like we need to hold on to the ropes, you know, like you feel like you're in the middle trying to hold on to everything, but you can't. You guys got to understand that once the courts are involved, you know, it's a totally different scenario. You know, your child becomes a different, you know, I call it like a ward of the state, you know, and I hate to put it that way, but they basically become a ward of the state, you know, and you choose not to put your child into the system, but if the other party chooses to put the child into the system, you have no choice but to go along with the ride.
Right. You have to, you know, the biggest thing I always say is don't lose the respect of your judge. Don't lose the respect of that court. Don't lose that respect by doing dumb stuff. Like if you start going into your court and filing frivolously stuff that doesn't make any sense, affidavits that a judge will never look at, going in there and recording the clerk, going in there and doing this. I mean, it's one thing to record certain things, but don't go into the courtroom. If it says no recording in the courtroom, don't go in there and record and then post it online where you know they're going to see it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like once you lose the respect of that court, you just literally, I don't even know how to explain it. Because I think that's where I screwed up. I followed all the advice of Dum Dum and I lost all the respect of my court. So then it took me a whole nother year to clean that up. And once I cleaned that up, then I kind of got that respect back. And then guess what? I hired a good attorney and guess what? I got what I wanted.
Yeah.
But like my judge said, excuse me. Like my judge said, because I didn't understand it, you know, with me putting my child out there on social media, you know, because like it's my kid, I can do whatever I want. Well, Fran Scam had me putting my kid out there, turning my kid into the social media circus, and it didn't hit me at that point because I was like, what do you mean? You know, this is my kid, I can do what I want, and you're the one taking my kid, you're the one not letting me have my kid. Well, what are they going to think when they see that on social media? Now my child's almost 16 years old, and we've had this discussion, and she said to me, Mom, I've seen it. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
You know, I thought I removed everything, but some of it is still out there, and you don't think about that at the time, but you know, once I took everything down and you start to think about things and you're like, yeah, you know, you got a point. And I've had this conversation with my daughter. She's like, Mom, you know, I don't want it to come across it. You know, I'm sorry that you and Dad went through this, but I don't want to see it. I don't want to come. It had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
You know, you don't think about these things. And that's what I try to tell parents is stop putting pictures of your kids up. Stop talking about your kids this way. Stop. Yes, you love them, but there's a way to express that without turning them into a circus.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that because this is social media. This is the internet. Eventually, one day they're going to see it. And you may think one day they're going to see it and go, my mom was fighting for me. No, they're going to look at it and go, oh my God, how embarrassing this is.
Yeah. I mean, it's a different situation. Like if you're actually in court and then they record you and like it's posted, I think, but like actually like outing your kid and like saying like, okay, so we know this example. I'm gonna give you an example. Okay. We all know who it is. But like, if you were like going, oh yeah, we smoked weed together and, you know, you actually posted on social media.
Right.
that's gonna come back to haunt you, you know?
Right.
Like
Be
you don't
careful with that word because I got my 18 and up turned off.
Oh, and then, like when something like that happens, it's just like, they go and smoke the herb, with your kid.
Right.
You can't do stuff like that. And then go stay in the
Right.
courthouse and say, oh, you can approve me because I'm a good parent and I'm trying to
Right.
smoke the herb with my kid. No, you're
Right.
not. The kid is going to be for the best interest of the child.
Hi, Iowa.
That's
Right.
what the
Right.
courts do, is for the best interest of the child. And so if they feel
Right.
you're going against that,
Right. Exactly.
it's not going
Exactly.
to work in your benefit at all. That's going
Right,
to hurt
right.
your case all the way. And then some
Right.
of these people, like, I will say this time around, this is my second time in family court, and my 2 adult kids, I went with them for 10 years. And then this one has been 3 years. I'm even afraid to put some of the stuff in the courthouse this time, like
Right.
goal records, like, evaluation. I ain't even scared
Right.
to put that in the courthouse now, because I know it affected my, some of my adult kids. And it's like, you never know how this stuff is going to affect you. And you got to be very careful what you say.
Yeah.
And I know you hear me all the time say this, take your emotions out of the scenario.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
you're there,
You have to.
check your emotions at the door, walk in,
Right,
go
right,
back
right.
and pick them back up when you
But,
go out.
and that's so hard to say to moms and dads because it is an emotional situation. These are your children. It's so hard to look at people and say, take your emotions out of it. But yet you're talking about your children, which is the biggest emotional thing that you have. They're your kids, but you have to check them at the door and walk in stone cold, stone face. You just have to do that.
Because you have a mission to do. Like somebody had put in my chat, like when you're talking about CA, I'll put CA because I don't want to get flagged. You might get flagged, so I want to say CA. Child.
Right.
Yeah. So when you're talking about that and you're in the courts, it gets emotional. I agree. All of that is very hard to go through. But you got to also understand that you have a mission that you got to do. You got to get through. I know when I open the floodgates, they ain't shutting. So I know already. I got to check those emotions at the door because if I let them out, it's like a whole waterfall in. Like